In 2000, Ridley Scott's Gladiator captivated audiences with its gripping tale of revenge, honor, and redemption, anchored by Russell Crowe's iconic portrayal of Maximus. Nearly 25 years later, Gladiator 2 attempts to revive that magic but strips away what made the original great. The sequel feels hollow, derivative, and ultimately unnecessary. While Gladiator immersed viewers in the grandeur of ancient Rome, Gladiator 2 reminds us why some classics are best left untouched. A shallow echo of the original. The greatest issue plaguing Gladiator 2 is its inability to chart new territory. Rather than offering a fresh perspective or continuing the narrative in a meaningful way, the sequel shamelessly recycles the plot of his predecessor. From the gladiatorial arenas to the political backstabbing of imperial Rome, every aspect of the film feels like a diluted version of the original. At the center of this retread is Lucius, played by Paul Mescal. While Lucius, the young boy from the first film, is now grown, his journey is nothing more than a pale imitation of Maximus' path. Where Maximus fought for his family's honor and the Roman Republic, Lucius battles faceless enemies in an attempt to carve out his own legacy. However, the emotional resonance that defined Maximus' story is glaringly absent in Lucius of Arc. In Gladiator, audiences were gripped by the raw intensity of Maximus' quest for vengeance against Emperor Commodus, brilliantly portrayed by Joaquin Phoenix. The stakes were deeply personal, making every victory in the arena a triumph of the human spirit. In contrast, Lucius' journey feels superficial and uninspired, with none of the depth or complexity that made Maximus such a compelling character. Character development. A missing ingredient. One of the hallmarks of great storytelling is well-rounded characters with believable motivations and growth. Unfortunately, Gladiator 2 falls flat in this department. Lucius, despite being the protagonist, lacks the charisma and depth needed to carry the film. His motivations are murky, and his actions often feel dictated by the plot, rather than arising organically from his character. Other characters fare no better. Pedro Pascal, a beloved actor known for his roles in The Mandalorian and Game of Thrones, is wasted in the role of General Marcus Acacius. Meant to be a Maximus-like figure, Acacius is underwritten and forgettable, serving as little more than a placeholder in the narrative. Denzel Washington, who brings undeniable gravitas to the role of Maximus, is another victim of the film's poor writing. While his portrayal is charismatic and engaging, the character itself is riddled with inconsistencies. Maximus' rapid rise to power and subsequent downfall are rushed and lack credibility, robbing the story of any real tension or impact. Even returning characters like Connie Nielsen's Lucilla are reduced to caricatures of their former selves. Lucilla, once a nuanced and tragic figure, is relegated to a supporting role with little agency. Her decisions echo mistakes from the first film, making her character arc feel redundant. A spectacle without substance. If there's one area where Gladiator 2 attempts to shine, it's in its action sequences. Ridley Scott has always had a talent for crafting visually stunning battles, and this film is no exception. The gladiatorial combat is brutal and visceral, with a few standout moments that capture the raw energy of the arena. However, these fleeting highlights are overshadowed by an over-reliance on CGI. The film is saturated with digital effects, from rabid CGI baboons to a gladiator champion riding a computer-generated rhino. These elements feel more suited to a fantasy epic than a historical drama, undermining the grounded realism that defined the original Gladiator. One particularly absurd sequence involves gladiators battling CGI sharks in a flooded arena. While visually striking, this scene epitomizes the film's prioritization of spectacle over storytelling. Instead of enhancing the narrative, these effects serve as distractions, pulling the audience out of the story. The pitfall of nostalgia. Gladiator 2 leans heavily on nostalgia, but rather than honoring the legacy of the original, it actively diminishes it. The film is littered with callbacks to Gladiator, from Maximus' breastplate and sword to flashbacks of his character. But these gestures feel more like shallow attempts to invoke emotional responses than genuine storytelling. These references come across as forced and superficial, as if the filmmakers are relying on the audience's fond memories of the first film to distract from the sequel's glaring shortcomings. The most egregious example of this is the sudden revelation that Lucius is Maximus' son, a plot twist that feels both unnecessary and poorly executed. Not only does it contradict the narrative integrity of the original film, but it also reframes Maximus' actions in a way that feels contrived and diminishes the depth of his character. This retroactive addition cheapens Maximus' legacy, reducing him from a symbol of unwavering honor and sacrifice to a mere narrative tool used to prop up a lackluster sequel. Instead of building upon the emotional resonance of the original, this twist undermines it, leaving audiences feeling disconnected and disappointed. Breaking the original's ending. One of the greatest strengths of Gladiator was its poignant and emotionally resonant ending. Maximus's death not only brought his story full circle, but also left audiences with a sense of closure that was both tragic and deeply meaningful. It symbolized the culmination of his journey, his honor preserved, his vengeance fulfilled, and his legacy secured. In stark contrast, Gladiator 2 undermines this resolution by reopening the story that was already complete, diluting the powerful impact of the original's finale. Sequels hold the potential to enrich and expand upon their predecessors, offering fresh perspectives or exploring untold narratives that build upon existing foundations. However, Gladiator 2 achieves none of this. Instead, it clings to the same themes and conflicts already explored to perfection in the original, offering nothing new to the story or characters. The result is a film that feels unnecessary, not only failing to add depth but actively diminishing the emotional and narrative weight of its predecessor. It's as though the filmmakers ignored the age-old adage, some endings are perfect because they don't need a sequel. Missed opportunities. Given the wealth of historical and cultural material available, Gladiator 2 had the potential to explore fascinating new territory. Ancient Rome was a complex and multifaceted society, filled with political intrigue, social upheaval, and philosophical debates. A thoughtful sequel could have delved into these aspects, offering a richer and more nuanced portrayal of the era. Instead, the film opts for shallow spectacle, squandering the opportunity to create something meaningful. The political dynamics of Rome were reduced to generic power struggles, while the cultural and philosophical richness of the period is largely ignored. The role of arrogance in modern cinema. There is a certain arrogance in films like Gladiator 2, which seem to assume that audiences will accept mediocrity simply because of their association with a beloved predecessor. This arrogance is most evident in the film's reliance on CGI, and its assumption that viewers will be impressed by visual effects alone. However, great cinema is about more than just spectacle. It's about storytelling, character development, and emotional resonance. By neglecting these elements, Gladiator 2 fails to live up to its legacy, becoming a cautionary tale about the dangers of prioritizing profit over creativity. The verdict: a film that shouldn't exist. In the end, Gladiator 2 is a deeply flawed film that fails to justify its existence. It offers little in the way of originality, depth, or emotional impact, relying instead on recycled plotlines and empty spectacle. While it may entertain on a superficial level, it ultimately leaves audiences longing for the magic of the original. Sometimes less truly is more. In the case of Gladiator 2, much less would have been better, perhaps even nothing at all. A call to Hollywood. The failure of Gladiator 2 serves as a reminder of the importance of respecting the integrity of classic films. While sequels can be a way to revisit beloved worlds and characters, they should only be made when there is a compelling story to tell. Otherwise, they risk tarnishing the legacy of the original and alienating audiences. As Hollywood continues to churn out sequels, prequels, and reboots, filmmakers would do well to remember the lessons of Gladiator 2. Great cinema is about more than just box office returns. It's about creating stories that resonate with audiences on a deeper level. Thanks for watching, folks. If you made it through this review, unlike Gladiator 2, you've proven sequels can actually deliver. Remember, sometimes leaving a classic untouched is the best plot twist of all Hollywood. Take notes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more brutally honest takes, because let's face it, someone has to say it.